Hey, John Ty here, author of Crush It with Kindle, and welcome to this video on finding the Kindle royalty sweet spot. This is the first of two videos, so let's have a look at what we're going to cover. First of all, we're going to look at Amazon royalty rates. Second, we're going to look at bargain Booksie sales data. And third, we're going to look at KDP pricing support. So let's get straight into Amazon's royalty rates. Amazon offers a choice of 35% royalties or 70% royalties. So on the face of it, it's a no-brainer. You're going to take the 70% royalties, but there is a catch. Amazon has a strategy of trying to get people to price Kindle books at between $2.99 and $9.99. So in order to get 70% royalties, your Kindle book has to be priced within that range. If it's less than $2.99 or more than $9.99, it automatically falls into the 35% royalty bracket. And something else to be aware of is that the lowest price that Amazon will allow you to price your Kindle book at is currently 99 cents. Now let's look at an example of what happens at different prices. So if you have a $2.99 book and you're getting 70% royalties, you're going to make $2.09 in royalties. If you were then to drop the price of that book to 99 cents, you'd fall into the 35% royalty bracket. So straight away you can see that on a per sale basis, you're getting almost 6 times as many royalties at $2.99 as you are at 99 cents. But what about increased demand at lower prices? Let's look at some bargain Booksie sales data. And very helpfully, they release data on all of their sales on Amazon.com over a 6-month period. Bear in mind that it is a discount Kindle book site, therefore users will be more price sensitive than Kindle users generally. And this is reflected in the low volume of sales at or above the $3.99 price point. However, the overall trend gives us very useful information. So what you can see here is a typical demand curve. And if you look on the left there at the 99-cent price point, you've got almost 25,000 units sold. And you can see that the number of sales drops off sharply as you move to the $3.99 price point, down to almost nothing by the time you get to $6. Now let's have a look at this same data but in table form. So this table gives us two useful pieces of information. First of all, the total number of books sold at each price point, and secondly, the total revenue generated at each price point. And you can see straight away that in terms of revenue generated, $1.99 and $2.99 are the most successful price points, with $30,000 and $29,500 generated respectively. However, what this doesn't take into account is royalty rates, and for those we have to look at another version of the table. And immediately you can see a dramatic change in terms of what is the best price point for the author. At $2.99 you hit that 70% royalty bracket, and the royalties paid out to authors are $20,700. But if you change that book price by just $1 in either direction, you get a huge drop-off in royalties. Drop the price to $1.99 and the royalties go down to $10,500. Put the price up to $3.99 and the royalties drop to $9,600. Basically, what we're seeing is that $1 either side of that $2.99 price point and the royalties are being cut in half. This is very compelling data, and it's true that for most Kindle books, $2.99 is the royalty sweet spot. What I will say is that there are sometimes circumstances in which a Kindle book will make more royalties at a higher price point. But usually that's only the case for a book that's already very successful. It's in the media, it's published by a major publisher and has a big marketing campaign behind it. Certainly for most self-published Kindle books, $2.99 is going to be the royalty sweet spot. But the only way to be absolutely sure is to test. And I'll be showing you how you can test your prices in the next video. But before I finish this video, I want to mention KDP pricing support. KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. That is the platform through which we publish our books on Kindle. It's currently in beta, but it still gives us some very useful information and sort of backs up that bargain Booksie data that we looked at a second ago. So first of all, where do you find this? Well, you find this in your KDP bookshelf. Specifically, it's in the section where you set the prices for your book. And what Amazon do is they look at historic data for Kindle books that they think are similar to yours, and based on that information, they create a graph that looks like this, that shows you in relative terms the amount of royalties you're likely to make at each price point, that is the orange line, and the amount of books you're likely to sell at each price point, and that is the dotted grey line. If you compare it to the bargain Booksie data, on the left of the graph where we see the price drop from $2.99 to 99 cents, we basically see the same thing. The amount of royalties generated drops in half. On the right, however, as the price goes up, it doesn't drop quite so steeply. Now, the reason for that is that the Bargain Booksie sales data is skewed by the fact that they actually offer significantly fewer books at $3.99 and above. So when it comes to higher price points, the Bargain Booksie sales data does exaggerate things slightly, but even so, there is still a clear and steady drop-off. So when it comes to finding the royalty sweet spot, it's probably around the $2.99 price point. That's the point at which you hit the 70% royalty bracket. But it's different for every book. And so to be certain, you need to test. And we'll look at how in video 2. So this is John Ty. I hope you found this useful, and I look forward to catching up with you on the next video.